There's hope for if you've been in bankruptcy. There's hope if you're in credit card debt. There's hope if you lost your job and you just don't know which way to go. There's always hope for anyone.
It is another beautiful day in January 2026. I am Alisha Payne with the Woman of Nation, here to elevate, educate, and empower women all across the world. All across the world. I'm putting that out there. All across the world. To walk in their purpose, live in their passion, and to operate in their power. And we are discussing all things that impact and improve the lives of women. And that goes from health to wealth, fun to family, faith to future, and everything in between. Our January series is Get Your House in Order. And when we're talking about houses and your home, we're talking about your physical house. So that's your body, your temple. Get your house in order means you're going to start eating right, living better, doing best by your temple, giving your body the best of what it needs to perform optimally. And then we're also talking about your literal house, decluttering, getting rid of things you don't even need anymore, stuff that's been in your closet for far too long. We're going to do that this month. And then, it's not always getting rid of it. Sometimes you can give it away to be a blessing to someone else. We're talking about our spiritual house, getting closer to God, getting deeper in a more intimate way, in a more relational way, and listening to Him and giving Him all of your cares, your problems, and your love. And then we're going to talk about your financial house. That means managing debt, improving credit, and setting yourself up for success in the future. This is the best time to do it. January is the best time to do it when we're making our New Year's resolution. And I always say, don't make resolutions, make lifestyle changes. But you know what? I don't know how to tell you how to do that, but I know who can. I have today on the podcast Miss Kelly Armstrong. She is the CEO and founder of Be Whole Financial Enterprise. Ooh, that sounds so rich. Be Whole Financial Enterprise. Hello, Miss Kelly. How are you doing today?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
Fantastic. Are you excited as I am about this new year?
I am. I'm very excited. And I love that you said get your house in order. I love that.
For all of us who have been raised in church, we used to hear that all the time,
Mm-hmm.
But now that we are the church and we're the older ones, we have to put our lives into proper perspectives. We can dress our bodies up on the outside. We got the hair done, nails done, got the clothes and the red bottoms. But is your house in order? Is your financial house, your spiritual house, so on and so forth, so forth. So I want the ladies and even the gentlemen who are listening or looking at this podcast to know help is on its way.
Amen.
I always like to ask people about their childhood before I dive into their area of expertise, because I believe that a person's childhood tells a lot about who they developed and transformed into as an adult. Now, let me ask you, you are into the financial arena. Were you one of those kids that was like very financially responsible with your piggy bank? Somehow I think you were.
That's too funny because one Christmas I did ask for a piggy bank.
How did I know? That's funny.
I wanted to put those coins in that bank to see how much money I could grow.
See,
Yes.
that's why I say you're something that you've done in your past, in your childhood,
Yeah.
relates and translates into the adults we become somehow or another. So tell me, where did you grow up? What was your childhood like?
Yeah,
Speaking
so
of
I
childhood.
grew up in Newark, Ohio. A lot of people will say, "Oh, Newark, New Jersey." I'm like, "No, Newark, Ohio." A small town. So grew up there. Do have a sister, and we were a family that liked a lot of animals, if you will. So dogs, really. And so we had a lot
Okay.
of dogs with us. And we had Pippi, Fluffy, Linus, and
Oh, that's too cute.
they're all my brothers and sisters.
Yeah,
People have
extension of
gone
your
to
family.
heaven, but Pippi was, I hate to say picking your favorite, but he was my favorite because it was just, he was so smart. He was a schnauzer and he was so smart and just, I mean, things that he would do was just amazing to me based upon like kind of comparing him to the other dogs. It was just tremendous how much smartness he had. And so, but we were like kids running in the streets. Like they don't do
Uh-huh.
stuff now. We were out in the streets playing and
Right.
trouble because we're running in people's yards. We have our
Being
ball
a kid.
and
You
being
were
a
being
kid.
a kid.
Exactly. Playing Mother May I and
Yes, you may.
and then we grew up where if you got in trouble, they would call your parents and tell them,
Absolutely.
and then you'd get in trouble from your grandma to your
Mm-hmm.
great grandma. I mean, it was like don't tell my mom because it's not just gonna stop there. You know what I mean?
It was
Yeah,
the whole village, I miss that in communities. It was that whole village. And I lived on a street where there was like five of my relatives. My grandparents, a couple of aunts, and two cousins. And you couldn't get away with anything.
yeah,
The neighbors see you, the neighbor's going to tell on you, your grandparents or whoever else saw you doing what you were going to
exactly,
do. But that was a beautiful part about. Oh, and when you agree growing up, like, you had these protectors.
exactly.
Even if you got in trouble, that somebody out there loved you.
Exactly. Yeah. There was one time I didn't know how to tell time. And I was at school, and down the street was a candy store, but there was a railroad track that you had to cross over. And you know me at like what, 8 years old? I don't know. I'm not supposed to be crossing a railroad
Cross,
track.
right.
At lunchtime, I went and got some candy, and my teacher saw me. And so when I came back to school, she approached me and told me she saw me and that she was going to have to call my mom and tell my mom. And I was begging her, please don't tell her because I knew I was going to be in trouble.
Yes.
And sure enough, it was like I went home and like it got like 7 o'clock and the phone never rang. And I was like, yes, she's not going to call. No sooner than I did that. Ring,
Yes. Do you think that's like a lost? I don't want to say lost art, but it's a lost piece of love. I think that we don't operate in and not everything that we say old school was good. Because but it was a different mentality that
Mm-hmm.
you knew, like I said, that you couldn't just do anything and be anywhere. You couldn't wear this little stuff with sagging your pants and
No.
this stuff with these young ladies going out, as my mother said, indecent. You ain't gonna put a mark on our name. That was her
Mm-hmm.
thing. You're not
No.
gonna put a bad mark on our name. It's sad that we don't operate, pull the good things from the old times, the good
I
old
agree.
times,
I
and
agree.
use those things.
Yes, yes, definitely. Yep.
Well, let's get that. Hey, that says a lot about who you are. You my kind of girl. You my kind of girl. So you have started this business, the Behold Financial Enterprise. You helping people to get their credit together, and
Hmm.
not only credit, it's getting their lives back on track.
Yes.
Tell me why you named your company Behold Financial Enterprise.
Yes.
What's in the
So
name?
I it was like I didn't want you kind of what you're saying. It was like I didn't just want you to be whole physically or be whole mentally or be whole, in other areas. So I was like, I want you to be whole completely. And I knew that that
Yes.
needed to include finances. So, because
Yes.
sometimes, I don't know, like our ethnicity, if you will, our
Mm-hmm.
generation, we weren't taught a lot of this stuff. And
Right.
so I'm like, we got the family stuff kind of back then, we're still
Yes.
work on that. But We look at our bodies. A lot of us, we know what to eat and what not to eat. It's just doing
Absolutely.
discipline and if we want to do it or not. It's just when it comes to finances, I feel we weren't taught, and
Hmm.
it's not that our parents didn't want to teach us. I don't think they knew,
Right.
and they taught
Absolutely.
what they knew.
They taught what they knew.
Yeah.
I can remember, being taught to open my bank account. My first bank account, of course, I opened it with my mom. And
Hmm.
then, in fact, I had a bank account. I always had a separate bank account, but I always kept a bank account with her up until the time maybe I was like 25, 26.
Okay.
And not that it was an active bank account because I always had my separate bank account, but
Yeah.
I remember that experience, of her taking me into the bank. And my thing was, I was going in for, I don't know how they operated in Central Ohio and Columbus,
Uh-huh.
but in the area that I grew up in, you always got that lollipop. So I was going in for the lollipop.
Yes.
Although I knew I was going to open a bank account with her, my main objective was that lollipop, right? And that was like your reward.
Right. Yeah.
And so I have those experiences,
Hmm.
and I often wonder why isn't finances being taught in schools? And I know you may or may not can answer that, but that always struck me as odd.
Yeah.
Like, are we kind of taught to fail financially? Because I remember being taught home ec- and I'm aging myself, and I don't care about that, but I remember when I was in school, high school, junior high, being taught home economics. So you knew the domestic things. You knew how to sew, how to cook, things of that nature. But I don't remember ever being sat down in a school environment saying, hey, we're going to learn how to budget.
Nope.
And so I would think that that has a lot to do, and I know other countries do teach. I think that
Mhm.
has a lot to do with why we have so many people in debt and so many people who's struggling financially to get out of the hole so they can. I'm gonna use your beehole.
Get out.
You like how I put that shameless plug? So, what inspired you to start this company?
So I always pretty much had an entrepreneurial spirit. Growing up, I like to do the Girl Scouts and selling the pizzas and the cookies and
Yeah.
whatever it was. And then back in the day, we had a walkathon where we would
Yes.
walk 50, I think was it 25 miles, 25 miles, and my cousin said every mile that you complete that we will give you, was it $1? And back in that time, it was like,
That's
okay,
a
that's
that's a
great. That's like
lot.
fifty
Hmm.
dollars, or 25, which I forget if it was 25 or 50, but you get what I'm saying. And so
Yes.
we would do that. So it was always like, where can I get money? What do I need to do to get money? I've been in every network marketing company you could think
Uh,
about. I used to do Quick Start, Amway, Mary Kay.
you done it
I
all.
did it all. Yes.
But there's an entrepreneurial spirit in you, though.
Exactly. And so I also worked at a company here in Dublin, Ohio. It was Cardinal Health. And I love
Yes.
working at Cardinal. It did me well while I was there. But at sitting around the table with my parents, my dad asked the question, what would you do, or what is your plan B if something were to happen at your corporate job? And at the time I was like,
Good question.
I'm
Right.
I don't know, so I started thinking about it. And then because I went to OU in Athens and I have a degree in math. And so I was always like tutoring people in math, and people would just ask me questions. And I was like, wait a second, maybe there's something here. You know what
Right.
I mean? And so I started, actually, Be Whole was really going towards like being whole spiritually in your body,
Yes.
that kind of thing, kind of like a coaching concept of it. But I started looking at myself and I was like, wait a minute. I weight myself. How am I going to coach people on losing weight? And, I'm like, I don't go to people if they don't practice what they are teaching.
Absolutely. Uh-huh.
So then, long story short, it just kept going back to finances, going back to finances. And when I was in this particular entrepreneurial network marketing company, if you will, I got myself in debt. And so I got myself $30,000 in debt. And so my debt wasn't like just out there, spending on whatever. My debt
Mm-hmm.
was trying to build a business. Now, debt is debt, you know what I mean?
Yes.
But that's how I got into debt. And so I had to sit down with my dad and tell him how much debt I was in. And he was like, he was so gracious with it. He just kind of like, if you know my father, he's very calm and he doesn't like go off. He's just really soft spoken, but he did raise his brow a little bit.
Like, what you say?
The very thing that got you in debt is going to be the very thing to get you out of debt. So he was like, I want you to stop ordering those products and I want you to get out there and sell them and take
Right.
that money to start paying off your debt. So I started doing that, but then I also started studying books like Dave Ramsey and, all
Mm-hmm.
the financial things leading, like how would Jesus work money and just different things I started reading. And then I started chipping away. I did it with the snowball effect that Dave Ramsey teaches. Now, there are other methods that you can do as well, but that's what I did. And so
Now,
I
what's
just started
that?
chipping away at it. And so then it started just becoming who I was. And I was
So,
like,
can I
you know
stop you for
what?
just a second? Can
Yeah,
I stop you for just a second? Because you said something I just want to pull from. You
yeah.
said the
hmm
snowball
Yes,
method.
snowball effect.
What was that about?
So it was like, okay, so let's say you have five credit cards, okay? And let's say I'm just going to use small numbers. One is $1,000, one is 500, one is 300, one is 200, and like one is 100. So
Mm-hmm.
you keep paying the regular monthly payments on them, but you take the smallest one and you double up on it. So let's say that for that $100 credit card, let's say your monthly payment is $25. So
Okay.
instead of paying $25, you pay $50. Whatever you can, pay $50. So you
Okay.
keep that until you get it paid off. So now this is paid off, okay? So
Right.
then I take that $50. I don't go spending it and like, oh yeah, I got $50.
Party.
You take that $50 and add it to the $200 credit card. So let's say you were
Oh.
paying $25 on this credit card. Now you're paying $75 a month. See?
Wow. Wow. Now, I've never even heard of that snowball effect,
Yes.
when
So
you're talking
then by
about
the
that.
time you keep doing and doing and doing, by the time you get to this last one, that's $1,000, you may be dumping, I don't know, like $500 on it plus the minimum payment because you've taken all the money that you've used to knock
Hmm.
these out and then you knock it out quicker.
What a brilliant concept. Yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't want to just fly by that because that sounded interesting. So like now the student has become the teacher. You're teaching these things. That's incredible. When you're teaching yourself these techniques and now you're able to pass that along to others.
Yeah, and it's like it takes discipline. Don't get me wrong. It's discipline. And then I had like a spreadsheet because I didn't have all that apps and all that stuff they have
Right.
now. I had a spreadsheet and I listed all, and I had every month how much I'm paying each month, and it was really cool
Right.
because when you start seeing those credit cards falling off and that debt going away, it was like an an accomplishment. And so it made you feel really good, like, oh, I can't wait
Right.
to get that $1,000 one done. You see what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. I like that concept because that's doable when you're thinking about how to get down these debts, because I know it's the New Year's. I know anxiety is very high
Yes.
because people have really spent for that one day, and they're going to have to pay that debt for years to come just for that one day.
One
And
day.
I've done that before. I've
Mm-hmm.
done that but several, I won't say just before. I've done that a lot.
Yeah.
And then I learned, like, in my mid 30s, no, this ain't the way to go. Why would you keep putting yourself in debt for this one day? So what strategies can you offer to get us to help us pay off these debts in addition to your snowball method?
Yeah, so let's talk about the Christmas since you brought that up that one day. So we have to teach our families, it's all another mindset. We have to teach our families, look, I am working on my financial portfolio. If you
Right.
don't get a gift this year, it's not because I don't love you. I have to
Mm,
take care of my household. So it's training our friends and our family to understand we can't keep going down that path of getting in debt for one day. So we have to
for one day.
strategize. So maybe open up an account and put money into that account. And so then when December comes, whatever amount of money that you put in from January to December, that's
Mm-hmm.
your spending fund for Christmas. If you
Right.
don't have it, you don't do it. And let's get back to sitting around the table and
Right.
fellowshipping with our families. What better way to have a wonderful Christmas is sitting around the table, like we were talking about earlier. Your grandma sharing stories back in the day, and your aunts, and
Absolutely.
versus opening up these gifts that half the time, I hate to say it, some of the stuff you get you don't even want, you don't even like it.
Absolutely.
We're just
Regifted.
wasting
Mm-hmm.
time. Right. So I just kind of wanted to talk about that because I tell all
Yeah.
my clients, you guys, this is just one day. Your life is what we're trying to build financial wealth. And we can't
Absolutely.
do it like we've been doing it. And one of my quotes that I love from Dave Ramsey is we want to live like no one else so we can live like no one else.
Say that again. I love nuggets like this. Say that once more for our audience.
We want to live like no one else so we can live like no one else.
Wow.
So
Powerful.
basically, if we do the principles and tools that we need to do now, we're not only going to be able to live like we want to, we'll be able to live better.
You know what? You quoting Dave Ramsey, but I'm gonna quote something that you said. You say we can't create the plan forward until we look at the facts. And
Yes.
I want to dive into one of your quotes. What do you mean by that quote?
So what I'm saying is everybody's portfolio is different, their financial situation. So I can't create a plan for you until I sit down and understand what is going on. So
Okay.
it's similar to like you go and something's wrong with your car. You just don't go to the dealer and they say, "Hey, you need a new engine. Let's pay for it, get it fixed," without them doing a diagnostic testing on your
Right.
car to see, because you may not need a new engine. You might just need, I don't know, I'm not a car
Some
mechanic.
oil.
Right, some oil. Yeah, there you go. Check your oil regularly. Oil. And so that's kind of how I operate. I need to let's open up the books. Let's see what your credit reports are saying. Let's see how much credit card debt you might have. Let's see,
Right.
are you paying your bills on time? Are you using the credit model the correct way to help
Mm-hmm.
build the goals that you're trying to achieve? So, in order to do that, in order to create that plan, we have to take a step back and start with just unfolding, uncover. Let's see where you are right now, and then we will begin to build that plan to get you to where you want to go.
So it sounds to me like it starts with honesty, being honest about where you are, what you have, and what
Yes.
debt you need to clear. Like putting all the cards on the
Put
putting
it
all the
all on the
cards on the
table.
table.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah. And it's
Okay.
funny because some people like they get like a little nervous and like I'll say I need to see your credit report. And then they'll ask I'll say just kind of explain to me what is going on with you. And so they'll say some things and then later I might get a text or I might get a call. Oh, I just want to be honest with you now. I didn't really tell the
Right.
whole story.
Right. Because it can be intimidating and a little bit embarrassing, when you have to expose yourself to that
Exactly.
degree. Although, it reminds me of this. In order to get healed, say you have a wound, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that wound become infected.
Yes.
And in order for you to get healed and whole,
Yes.
using your term,
Uh-huh.
sometimes you have to open up that wound.
Open it up.
Sometimes you have to scrape out all the infection, the
Yes.
green stuff, the yellow stuff, all that gook,
Hmm.
the infection, and then you are able to apply a tool, or you're able to apply the medicine, if
Yes.
you will, cover that up,
Yep.
and make sure that you're in the healing process.
Exactly.
Sometimes that wound is just so hard for us to get to that point where we want somebody to expose our wound. We would rather be like living with the infection of lies, whatever that may be, just because we don't want that exposed.
Mm-hmm.
But it's necessary. You're
It's
saying it's necessary.
necessary. Yeah. And like what you said about the stress, I try to make it not so stressful because I've been there. I know what the stress is like. I know how to swim like with the water almost drowning you because you're drowning
Wow.
in debt. And so I know the stress that it makes you feel and how you feel. And so I try to calm the client down or whoever I'm working with and be like, look,
Yes.
even though it's not my portfolio, but we're in it together, and let's kind
I
of
like that.
make it fun. Let's take the stress out of it and figure out how can we work it in a way where you're feeling rewarded, you're jazzed
Right.
about it, you're excited about it versus being so stressed.
Uh, and y'all can tell that comes across just in the conversations we had prior to starting this podcast today. You feel like you're just a genuine person
Yeah.
and that you have the heart of a servant. I feel that coming through from the conversations and from your attitude, your
Mm-hmm.
posture, like
Yeah.
let's make it happen, and let's make sure that you're whole, and you're feeling good about the whole process. Now, let
Exactly.
me ask you this: what is the difference between like credit repair companies and credit education companies? Because I know that we use that interchangeably,
Mm-hmm.
but is there a difference, or what is the difference?
Yeah, so I don't like to call myself a credit repair company. I like to call myself a credit advocate company. And
Hmm,
the difference
I
to
like
me
that.
is a lot of people say, credit repair. And I'm trying to help break that stigma of credit repair because it's like, oh, I'm just going to get as many deletions off of your credit report as I can. It's
Yes.
not credit repair. And we cannot, how do I want to say, we cannot promise or we cannot guarantee that we're going to get anything off of your credit report. But as a
Okay.
credit advocate, if I educate and I explain how credit works, and based on the laws that are out there and based on, understanding how credit works, it's better to work your credit report or your portfolio that way versus thinking, oh, I just got to get deletions off. And you may not get a
Yeah.
deletion off. But if you understand how it works and you work it the right way, you should see some type of good results because you you're educating yourself on how credit works.
and you're not just allowing somebody to work behind the scenes. Because I have, and I know you've seen those, especially being in this financial arena where they say we're gonna raise your credit score 100 points, and we're gonna do this, and you'll be able to
No.
buy your house or buy a car. And so that's simply not true, because it sounds like it takes more than just having someone behind the scenes working or to repair your credit. You have to be a willing participant too. It sounds like to me like you have to do
Correct.
your part as
You have to
I'm
do
sorry.
your part. Exactly. And I can't raise anything. I'm not I'm not the credit bureaus. I don't have the authority to, raise anybody's credit reports, and I can't guarantee anything. We should not be guaranteeing that we can raise
Hmm.
anybody's credit reports, their scores 100 points. If someone is out there saying that, and I don't like to bash anyone, I encourage you to do your due diligence to get
Yeah.
additional opinions.
That's why I like what you said. You're an advocate.
I'm an
And
advocate.
so, yes. And
Yes,
that means that person has to do their part, you'll do your part, and then you see results.
correct. Yes. Because
Okay.
as we create the action plan, I'm going to tell you the things that you have to do. You may have to pay that collection. You may have to work on well, you will have to work on lowering those credit cards. These are things you're going to have to do. Okay. So,
Right.
yes, I'm not out there saying we're going to dispute all of this and it's, make your
Be
credit
erased.
report go up. No, we don't do any guarantees because no, we don't do that.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you're being honest, because I know, like I said, you've heard those companies advertising that, and then the results aren't as you thought that they would be. And I've heard a lot of people say that they
Yes.
were supposed to fix my credit, and it didn't happen.
Right. And then you get
Those.
frustrated and then you put a bad name out for like people like me. I'm always having to how do I want to put it? Calm them down and re-educate or re-explain what the credit process is so that they
Mm-hmm.
understand, I'm not that credit repair company. I'm the credit
Okay.
advocate.
I like that. Now you know that women are the biggest consumers. We're controlling or either influencing up to about 85% of all consumer spending, and that's a lot.
Yes.
When you think about the things that we purchase, and the day-to-day decisions that we make as women, we're doing like 70 to 80% of that. Like in the home, we'll be the key person to purchase or handle the day-to-day big ticket decisions. So, do you approach uh, being a credit advocate different with men than you do with women?
Nope.
Okay.
I do it the same way. Yep. No discrimination. I don't care if you're a man or a woman. I approach it the same way.
Okay. So,
Yes.
if I was a client, what can you walk me through the process, like
Yeah.
what that would look like?
Yeah, so if you're a client, I would just kind of ask, like, kind of explain to me what's going on with your financial situation. And so then they would just kind of talk to me about what's going on, where they are, if they've been in a bankruptcy situation, if they've had a repo, if they have a lot of credit card debt,
Hmm.
just kind of talk to me about all of that. And then a question I may ask is, are you able to pay your bills on time right now? And there's a reason why I ask that, because if you can't pay your bills right now, then there's another direction that we may need to go. Okay.
Okay.
So I'm just letting them explain, what all is going on within their situation. And then depending on what they say, because male or female, then I start to say, okay, now here's the way that I think we need to go. So, first of all, let's look at your credit report. So, I
Hmm.
asked them to send me a copy of their credit report. And I said, that's when I'm going to do the analysis. I'm going to scrub with you line by
Okay.
line what is going on with your credit report so that you
Okay.
understand exactly what is being reported on about you, because it's
Right.
basically you know report card.
Mm-hmm.
So we take time and go through all of that. I like to do it in person because one, I like to build that relationship,
Really.
so I
Yes,
like to
that's
sit
good.
down, and then also I like to see gestures because then it kind of
Right, the body language. You can tell a lot about body language,
yeah, so
how that credit is making them feel.
yeah. You need to go this direction.
Oh gosh, a lot of us have been there,
Right,
slouching,
exactly.
feeling defeated.
Yeah,
But I'm so glad you offer people hope.
right.
Not judging them
No,
for
not at
their
all.
mistakes.
No.
Yeah,
Yeah. And then I'll tell them, like, you know what? Don't worry about it. Don't beat yourself up. We've all been
right.
there. None of us are perfect. We
Mm,
situations happen. Like, we just came off of a pandemic. A lot of us
absolutely.
got hit by that. That wasn't our fault. We
Right.
had to do what we needed to do to survive.
To
And
survive.
yeah,
Right.
so
Flight or fight mode.
right, exactly. So I teach men, I do it the same way. My process is my process. So I
Okay.
pretty much talk and go through the process with both male or female. Yes.
Good. Let's talk about credit scores. Actually, what is it? Where does these numbers come from? Do they just fall out the sky? I mean, where does these numbers come from? How is a credit score comprised?
Okay, so like there's like five components of how credit works, okay? And I'm talking about the FICO score right now.
Mhm.
There's so many different credit models out there, but most people know about the FICO, so that's what I will just stick with for the purpose of us talking today. And so there's like five components. There's payment history. Okay, now payment
Mhm.
history is 35% of your credit score, which is
Okay.
192.5 points. Okay, so you
So,
have
can I stop you on that? Because I'm gonna ask you this. So, is the payment history? Where are they getting the numbers from? As far as what the numbers for how many times you paid your mortgage on time, car payments. What else
yeah.
factor into payment history?
Right. So we all have 550 points to work with our credit. So it's 850 to 300, which we all have 550 points to work with. So that's where I get those points. And the payment
Okay.
history is from like just what you said. How are you paying your bills? Are you paying them
Mhm.
on time or are you late?
Okay.
Yes, so that's
Okay.
payment history. And that is the number one category. So when I'm looking at someone's credit report, they might be coming to me saying, I got all these inquiries on my report. Let's get those off. But that's
Right.
not the number one
Uh,
factor
okay.
of
Because
your
you do
credit
hear
report.
if like inquiries bring down your credit score.
Yes, they do,
But that's not it.
but that's not my focus. My focus
Okay.
is payment history, utilization. Okay, utilization is the number two. It's 30% of your credit score, which is 165 points. So when I'm looking at clients' credit reports, I'm looking at your payment history and I'm looking at your credit utilization. Okay,
Okay.
the credit utilization, people will say we need it to be 30 percent or less. Okay,
Mhm.
now, again, depending on the person I'm speaking with and understanding where they are financially, we'll start with the 30%, but ideally, I want it under 10%. So that's a stretch. So we'll
Okay.
start with 30, but in order for us to get an awesome mortgage payment, an awesome interest rate, I want to try to
Mhm.
get you the best that we can. You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
And so,
Yes,
or
ma'am.
I want to teach you, if you will, how to get the best that you can. So we'll start with 30, but let our goal be 10%.
Okay.
Okay?
10%. Now, when you're talking about utilization, are you talking about how much you're using your credit
Car.
on, like credit cards? Like if you have say a maximum amount to use, are
Yes.
you using, if you have $1,000 credit limit? Are you using 10%, which would be $100,
Yes.
or are you using that 50%, which is $500? Is that what? Am I
Yes, that's
saying that
exactly it.
correctly?
Yes. So when I'm looking
Okay.
at, I'll look at all their credit cards, just like you said, and I want to see, are they using over 30%? If they are,
Okay.
they need to pay it down to get under that 30%. And then, which would
Okay.
be 1,000, would be 300. So if your balance on that credit card is for $1,000 credit card, if it's like 550, you're over your 30%. So we need to get that
Okay.
down.
Get it down.
Yes.
Okay. So that's
Yes.
utilization.
Yes.
All right. And then what's the third?
And the third is length of credit. So that's 15%, and that's 82.5 points. So length of credit is like, how are your things aging? Do you have enough aging, if you will, on your credit report? So we don't want to delete anything, okay? Because you want to keep that history on your credit report. Some people will be like, I
Okay.
just paid my credit card off and I told them to delete it, to take. No, because we want
I
that.
did that before, and I was told you should not never do that. That's part of
Yes,
your credit history. I was like, I'm not using that credit card anymore. It's, you know what I mean, for whatever
right.
reason. And I was
Yeah.
told that that was the wrong thing to do.
Yeah, now there are times I may say let's close it out, and that is like, let's say you got it down to the zero balance and they're charging you an annual fee, but
Right.
you don't want to use it. So we have to consider that. Okay, let's look at that. Maybe you should go ahead and close it out, because why charge an annual fee and give them money that you're not
Using.
using? So we look
Right.
at, again, it's all their portfolio. What are their cards? What are they saying? But yeah, that's it. Don't close anything.
Wow. Okay. I thought I was doing something. I was like, and cut it up into little pieces. I'm like, be gone, credit card, be gone. And
Yeah,
then I was
don't do
told,
that.
why did you do that? I was like, I don't want that debt.
Right,
And
exactly.
it pulled my credit score down.
Right.
That's the other piece too that people don't realize, because it did pull my credit score down after I did that, after
Yeah,
I closed that account.
it
And I'm
will. Yeah.
thinking, I thought I would be rewarded. Like, I've
Right.
done great by this credit card company, and
Yeah.
I'm not using it for whatever reason, and I'm done. I paid it off, but it pulls your score down.
Yeah. And like, underwriters and stuff, like if you want to get a home and that kind of thing, they look at that stuff. Are you, paying your stuff on time? And, how long have you had whatever? It just shows like your credibility. If
Right,
I'm going to give you this loan, are you going to pay me back? So do are you credible? What's your reputation on
right.
this kind of stuff?
It just seems like the system is built against you. Like
Yes.
when you pay that credit card, and this is just me talking, like you pay that credit card off, you've been diligent about paying, and you're simply saying, I don't want to be in debt anymore.
Right.
And then when you finally say, I don't want to be in debt, and do as I did, cut up my credit card, that said, be gone,
Yes.
that I got penalized,
Yeah.
in the end for that.
Right. No, I will share this too, and that's a good point. So, again, when I say you got to look at, or we look at, what is the person's goals? What are they trying to accomplish? Because, like me, I already have a car right now, I have my home.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not trying to buy another home. I pretty much plan on staying here till Jesus comes. And
Okay.
I'm not. So for me, I would probably close it out and I would take the
Okay.
hit of letting my credit go down, because I know I'm not within the next 12 months, if you will, I'm not going to have anybody running my credit. So if
Right.
it does pull me down, I'm okay with that, because I want to be out of debt. I don't want to have any credit card debt. I want to be debt free. But if you have someone else with a portfolio of, they got it, they're wanting to work on a home and
Mm-hmm.
get a car, that kind of thing, then yes, we have to follow like these kind of like FICO rules, if you will.
Okay. I'm
Yeah.
glad you explained that. So,
So number four is credit mix. So that is 55 points and 10% of your credit. And so what I mean by credit mix is how many credit cards do you have? Well, let me say it like this. How many installment accounts do you have and how many revolving accounts do you have? So FICO likes you to have at least two to three, which is for installments. So we really
okay.
want you to have, I hate to say it, two to three credit cards because that's considered
Really?
a revolving account. Okay. So we really want you to have two to
Wow.
three revolvings, which are credit cards. But again, we're an advocate. So we teach you how to manage those credit cards so you're
Mm-hmm.
not getting yourself in debt. Okay. And then you want to have an installment, at least one installment. So an installment is like a mortgage, a car
Right.
payment, hate to say it, a student loan. Those are the types of installment accounts. So you really need to have at
Okay.
least one. So when I'm
Okay.
looking at their credit report, I'm looking to see how many revolving accounts do you have and how many installment accounts do you have. If you don't have the proper amount, then I'm going to recommend certain ones to consider applying for to meet that requirement.
Oh, okay. So you need at least, again, one form of debt so you can build credit with
Yeah,
to kind of paint the picture that you are reliable for paying back these debts, even though you don't
exactly.
want.
Yeah.
Okay. You
So,
teaching me something today because I don't, as of this day, as of the time that I cut up that credit card
mhm.
over really like a decade ago, I
Okay.
want to say close to it anyway. I never got another credit card.
Okay.
And I just started using, hey, if I have money in the bank, I'll use that. But as
Mhm.
far as a credit, I cut it up and now I was done with it. But you're saying that in order for me, because I got my big ticket items,
Yes.
so
Yeah.
I don't worry about those.
So you can
That's for me.
keep doing
But
what you're
for
doing. But
for
if
a person who's trying to establish credit and build for those big ticket items,
correct.
they need to at least have.
Yes. Get three credit cards, which is like those are revolving accounts, meaning that the monthly payments may change depending on your balances.
Okay.
So, like, it might be $25, but then you pay most of it down, then it might go down to $10 a month. So it might revolve
Oh.
and go different. But an installment account is like, a car payment. So you have to pay $350 on that car payment for X amount of months, 5 years,
Okay.
so those are the difference. So we want to make sure
Okay.
we have the right mix.
Okay. So there's a formula in a sense
Yes.
to building credit. Okay. I don't think I ever knew that. That that I don't think I ever knew that there was some kind of method because it just sometimes it seems like random,
Hmm.
and I know that the logical part side of me know that there is a way and there is a formula, but I don't think I ever heard that
Right.
before.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's why I'm the credit advocate.
I know. I need to come to you. What am I doing? Wasting time over here with this podcast. I need to be on your doorstep.
You're welcome anytime. But the final one, the fifth one, that's the inquiries that we were talking about. And it's
Okay.
10% and it's 55 points. So you see the difference between 55 points to the first
Yeah.
category of 192 points. Yes, they're very important and we will address them, but they're not like our top priority. What I will instruct people to do though is be very careful with having people run your credit
Pulling them
because
hard
you get
credits.
those hits on your credit
Right.
report and it can pull your scores down. So I tell people, let's say if you want to go get a car, do your due diligence. Figure out what is it that you really want. Understand kind of, there's so
Hmm.
many softwares that we can do our own calculation of like what would the payment be and how much
Right.
it would be if I put this down and kind of do your own research if you will before you actually go in to the dealer because they're going to run your credit because
Hmm.
they want to see if you're, can make those payments. But you're going in there with the power. You're going in there
Absolutely.
letting them know, no, this is what I want. You see what I'm saying? Versus them
Right.
coming back and forth with you. So I just tell people, while we're helping you work on your portfolio, don't have anybody run your credit unless we tell you. And we have a strategy of when someone can run your report and when they shouldn't. So just be careful in that area.
There's a hard credit
Soft pull and
inquiry and a
hard
soft
pull.
pull.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. So the soft pull, and that's a good point that you bring that up. A soft pull, and that's what you should ask people. Are you going to do a hard pull or a soft pull? A hard pull, it's going to hit your credit. A soft pull will not. But sometimes, I hate to say we're living in a fallen world, they'll say, oh, it's going to be a soft pull, and then you look at your credit report and it hits.
Right.
So that's why I
Right.
say just be very careful. It's our portfolio. It's our due diligence to make sure
Right.
that we know what we're doing and not relying on someone else to tell us something and then we look back and it's something different.
So we just need to take more control of our own lives and our own
Yes,
situations, our own financial house, if you
totally.
will, as
Yes,
opposed to, it's great to have you as an advocate, but we need to advocate on
for
our own
yourself.
behalf.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. That's why
Yeah.
I want you to be whole.
Right. Yes. Be whole, people. Please be whole. And so, how can we improve our credit scores?
So the first thing is going and pulling it up and looking at it. Be aware of what is being reported about you. So you can go to annualcreditreport.com and ask for a free credit report. So you can start
Yes.
there. It's like knowledge is power. You can't change
Right.
anything unless you know what to change. And so I encourage everyone, and I say, even with your bank account, I say, get up in the morning, go to the bathroom, pray, thank the Lord that He woke you up this morning, devotional, and then get on your bank accounts and check and make sure your accounts are saying what they need to say. Because, like, again, we're in a fallen world.
Okay.
People are out there trying to steal our identity.
Yes.
And so if
Yes.
you stay on it every day, it's just a quick second to go.
Every day to
You
check it. Every
got
day.
these gadgets. Let's use them. Go real quick. It only takes what? Less than a minute to see and make sure that things are being reported correctly. And then if not, you have the ability to address it with like the bank institution or whomever so that it doesn't linger like months and then they're like,
Right.
well, I'm sorry, I can't help you because you see what I'm saying?
I
So if
love what you said about that. I never thought to check that every day.
every
You know what
day,
I mean?
every day, especially because of this identity theft that is going
Yes.
on. Yeah, I make it a habit every single day. I look at my bank statements just to make sure the
Okay.
transactions are right, nothing looks funky, nothing's pulled out that shouldn't be. If there's one little thing that I question, I'm on the phone. What is this? Just to make sure.
Right.
They're out there
That's
trying to protect
smart.
us. They're doing their due diligence. Like if they see a transaction, they might freeze it or that kind of thing. But
Right.
we have to do our due diligence. And that's another thing. Call
I
and
like
put
that.
your stuff on hold. Like freeze your stuff. Then it's harder.
Freeze your account if
Yes.
okay.
Call TransUnion. Well, no, you can call TransUnion, but I say call Equifax or Experian and say I want to put a freeze on all of my bureaus, all my accounts, so that no one can go in and apply for something under your account. So that's another way. So if you just put those kinds of things in place, it'll help start protecting you. So
So I just want to back because I want to get a clear understanding of what you're saying. We can call the three credit bureaus.
just call one of them. I say call
Okay.
either Experian or Equifax and tell them that you want a freeze on your credit reports and you want them to make sure it's done with all three of the main bureaus.
And that will not allow anybody to use your credit
Open up
without a red flag on.
without you knowing about it.
And how long does that freeze last?
It'll until you tell it to unfreeze. And so that's
Really? I never knew you could do that.
yeah, so this is the funny part though. I have mine froze and I forgot because I'm not trying to open up anything. So when I did go, because I had just recently had to buy a washer and dryer, and so I did it over there at Best Buy. So I
Okay.
want to, I put it on my card, then I paid it off. And so, but they had to, run what my credit, whatever they did, but they couldn't do it because, well, I got denied. Basically, I got
Uh
denied.
huh.
And
Uh
I was
huh.
like, well, how did I get
I
denied?
know my credit.
I, right. I go, give me a minute. Let me make a call and then I'll be back. So then I had to call and tell them to unfreeze it so I can have this transaction go through, and then I'll call back and freeze it back. So yes, make sure because you don't want
Wow.
people out there, buying stuff in your name and you don't even know about it.
I never knew that that was an option, that we could
Yes,
even do that.
yes, yes.
I never knew. I know a lot of people who's listening to this is saying the same thing. I never knew I could do that. Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
so
Stop
do
these.
the freezes and then
Okay.
also get on annualcreditreport.com and pull your free credit reports. And
I do that
then,
every January, and
yes,
this is the month that people should be doing it,
do it this
especially
month.
after the holiday.
Yes. And then go and look and see if there's anything that doesn't look, kosher, or you just have a question about something, mark it. And then either call the furnisher and see what's going on or reach out to me.
And how can people reach you?
So you can either go on my website, BeWholeFinancial.com, or you can email me, Kelly at BeWholeENT.com, or you can call me at 614-379-2636.
Yes, so we can be whole going forward in 2026. So what other services before we end? What other services do you offer?
So we like to help individuals create a budget. So we help with budgeting. We want to make sure we know where every dollar is going. And so we'll budget it down to the last cent.
I like that.
So we do budgeting. We also help with debt elimination, like we were talking about, kind of the snowball effect. There's also
Yes,
an
ma'am.
avalanche effect. So there's different ways depending on how a person feels comfortable. We talk about that. We also help with credit card debt. We help with that. I work with a company that can help people if they have a lot of credit card debt, that like it's just a struggle to
Mm-hmm.
even make the minimum payment. So just, you can reach out and we can help you with that. And then also we help people educate on student loans. That's a
Come
whole
on now, because that's where a lot of people are struggling. Whether student loans and medical bills are
yes.
there, and there, it's hard to, if you don't have the right strategy in
Mhm.
place, it's hard to maneuver that world.
Right, exactly. So, depending on where they are, if they're in collections or student loans, I help them, kind of coach and instruct on what to do to get their student loans out of collections and get them in good standing. And then they go back to the original servicer. And then based on their family size and income, I tell them, like, consider either doing a consolidation or
Hmm.
consider doing some kind of income driven plan where it's based on your family size and income. Just, let the programs that the government has for us work on, but we just got to know how to work them. And
How
so
to
I just
work
kind
them.
of coach my client along to ask the right questions and that kind of thing when they're on the line with like a no net or Fannie Mae or, that kind
Hmm.
of thing.
Yes, that's good to know. Because sometimes when we're up to our eyeballs, just eyeballs is where your vision is. Your nose is you're drowning. So you've all almost drowned, but you still can see hope. Is there hope for anybody
Yes.
that has credit challenges?
Yes.
Is there hope for everybody?
There's hope for if you've been in bankruptcy. There's hope if you're in credit
Mm-hmm.
card debt. There's hope if you lost your job and you just don't know which way to go. There's always hope
Yeah.
for anyone.
Yes.
And I just encourage anyone that's listening, if you just feel like how I was when I was in debt, I was like the water was up here and I thought I was going to drown.
Yeah.
God took me out of that. And it was because, first of all, I recognized that I had a problem and that I needed help. And then I took action and started chipping
Took
away
action.
at it. So you got to first recognize it and then take
Yes,
action.
ma'am. And take action. And it sounds like the action that a person would take with you,
Yes.
that you operate in compassion. And
Yes.
so if you're out there listening or you're looking at this, the Woman Up Nation podcast, whether you're a woman or a man, Miss Armstrong is here to help you. And so you won't go through 2026 the same way you came out of 2025. And there's strategies that she can sit down and talk with you, and you come up with these strategies that's going to help you live a better and more whole life. You see how I keep playing on that word? Whole, a whole
Or
life.
a whole lot. Yes.
If you could leave these brilliant, beautiful people that's listening to the Woman Up Nation podcast, if you could leave us with a piece of just expert advice, and I know you have given a lot of good nuggets. What would that one advice or nugget would you leave with these people that's listening and want to get out of debt?
One thing I would say is prayer. You
Mm,
know, uh, take it to the Lord because I mean, there's nothing new under the sun. And,
right.
prayer changes things. And so
Mm,
surround yourself with positive people.
right.
Um, don't surround yourself with people that are in the same debt or worse than what
Yeah.
you are. Surround yourself with people that can help you get out of your situation. And then I would say stay encouraged. It's not
Stay
the end of the
encouraged.
world. Be
Hmm.
encouraged. You
Yeah.
know, you can get through it. You can see the swimming, not feeling like you're drowning, but you can
Yes.
get up there and do the strokes and have fun.
You'll be doing some backstroke soon, right?
Yeah, so
Oh
my
man.
message is just be encouraged. You got
Be
this.
encouraged. Now that's the best piece of advice that a person could give to another individual who feels like this is it. Be encouraged.
Yes, be
Pray.
encouraged.
There is hope. Take the necessary steps, and you're going to be okay. It
Yes,
may be challenging, but you will be okay, and you will make it on the other side.
exactly.
And quit spending. Stop spending what you don't have. I'm just going to keep it real. Stop spending what you don't have. Quit
Yes,
looking at these people. Quit looking at these people on social media who say they got this.
and they
And behind the scenes, they don't have half of what they say they have.
exactly.
Stop comparing yourself.
Yes,
What is that saying? Comparison is the thief of all joy. I probably paraphrasing. Quit spending your money on things that don't bring you peace and don't bring you joy,
yep,
and invest in what is going to give you a better life, a better future for you, for your family, and to walk in your purpose.
yes.
Miss Kelly, it has been such a beautiful pleasure to meet you and to go on this journey with you today, where you're living in the theme of the Woman Up Nation: educate, elevate, and empowering women
Mm,
and people all over the world
all over
to
the
walk in
world.
their purpose, live in
Yes.
their passion, operate in power, and you're doing it. And I appreciate every nugget that you dropped today and every wise word that you have given anyone that's listening,
Well, I
including
appreciate
myself.
you for reaching out and asking me. I mean, it was such an honor when I saw you reach out. I was just blessed, and I'm like, wait. So I appreciate you and what
Thank you.
you're doing, to help the nation.
Yes, man, I appreciate that. Now that was encouraging. As the people of the church would say, I believe I can run on just a little while since I've been encouraged. Since I've been encouraged today. Listen, thank you so much. You have changed the trajectory of people's lives today. And I don't want you to think that's a small thing. You know, people who were listening who felt hopeless, you have changed their lives. And do people, let me ask you this question. Do people have to live in the same city, Columbus, Ohio, or can they work with you all across the world?
Right. Yeah, they can work. There's just different things that I will have to do with them because I am only licensed and bonded in the state of Ohio. So
Okay.
depending on what we work with depends on how kind of I navigate through. But yeah, reach out and we'll figure that out.
I love it. Thank you so much, Woman Up Woman. You have a beautiful rest of your year. And I know we'll stay connected because I think, this is just the beginning. People are going to need to hear this several times this year.
Yeah.
And I will be so excited with open arms to welcome you back on the Woman Up Nation.
Well, thank you.
Stay blessed, Miss Armstrong. Have a beautiful day.
You too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh.